Hi, welcome back. Oh gosh, so I'm the worst vlogger ever. Well, I mean, it is what it is, right? I have been in quarantine much like the rest of you, and I haven't really felt much inspiration to do anything. So what ended up happening was after the video that I shared the last time about how to pleat a mask or something, I don't know, something to do with masks. I haven't even looked. I just got so busy. I have made so many masks, and these are the kind of masks I'm making. I'm making the pleated masks. They've gone through many different iterations. I did not know how to sew before this. I took sewing, I took home economics, and that was in high school 30 years ago. So I have learned a lot. I went from not being able to sew a straight line to now sewing a semi-straight line. And I have to tell you, I have had a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I've been volunteering in the community to supply masks for elder care, and grocery handlers is my first two orders that I've done. But I've also been sewing for essential workers and healthcare workers, social workers, and just people within my local community, like within walking distance, because they live in my neighborhood. And we have porch pickup. Essentially, when I'm finished with a mask, well, how did they know that I was sewing masks? Well, I have a Facebook group that I'm joined a Facebook group that is our neighborhood Facebook group, and I just let everybody know, if you provide the fabric and materials, I will make you and your family a mask. However, I do have a priority order, and the priority order that I decided to go with was healthcare workers, essential workers, social workers, educators, essential workers that are, when I said essential workers earlier, I meant like people who work as administrative support in hospitals and things like that. And then the second essential workers were people who worked on the Joint Base Elmendorf, Richardson, defense contractors, and people who support that base. They all have like letters that call themselves, they all have letters that indicate that they're essential workers in order to get on the base. So, I mean, not that I was gonna ask anybody to show their papers, I mean, it is an honor system. So essentially, I had everybody bring their fabric to my porch with their family name and how many masks that they're gonna need, or what they would want, and then put what area that they were working from. And then non-essentials was the last group. So essentially, those people, I like the word essentially, so those people knew that even though they were donating fabric, that they would be put at the bottom of the queue as I got the other masks done. And I don't put the non-essentials at the bottom of the queue all the time. So let me tell you my process. So dealing with the orders, I have a book that I bought, and it's super cute. And I got this book, and so I essentially write down when I get the bags, who they go to, how many masks that they need, and what field that they're in. And once I've written it all down for that day, then on the back of the paper, I put the priority list. This is me just tallying masks for that first order. A lot of masks. So, and once I do that, I just kind of put them in order the way I told you I was putting them in order. And so I did that for each one. So non-essentials being at the bottom of each page, or of each section of orders that I decided to get done. So the next day, like if a new healthcare worker or whatever got put on that page, I would pop them over to the first page. And so it was kind of a balancing act. I think everybody has their own way of doing things, and that's kind of how I kept my work in order, but also was able to provide masks for the families that were not designated essential. And at the same while getting the essential, more high priority masks sewn at the same time. So I did like 20 masks for the, let's just call it whole group essential. And then I would do 2 masks for the non-essentials. I just kept doing that. Well, today I've made 125 masks that I've counted. I'm sure that I've actually made more than that, because I don't think I counted the first few that I had created, because, well, I wasn't all that organized. when you start projects like this, you don't really know how big it's going to blow up. Well, at least I didn't know how big it was going to blow up. I have got so much fabric, which is wonderful. Everybody went above and beyond. Like I had families that donated a huge sack. Like I'm talking kitchen 30-gallon bags full of fabric and material to create masks for the community, and they only wanted 2 masks. That was so kind. So I've been washing, I've been ironing, I've been sewing, and I've been putting, oh, how do they pick them up from my porch? So after I have sewn them, I get my little container of tissue paper and sparkly washi tape. I've got so many colors of washi tape. But the reason why that's important is I would wrap the masks up in paper, and then I would wrap the washi tape around it in different colors for each different order. And I would write on the name, first name, last initial. And then I have a little box on a little bistro table on my porch that I would put the masks in that I had completed for the day. And then I would tell, you know, each person in a private message on Facebook that their masks were ready, and I tell them what color and what color package there was, what color ribbon was on the package. I did at first, the reason why I started that is because I was just putting them all in the same newsprint, because I thought, oh, this is how I can get rid of some newsprint. Problem was that some people were sending their children. And the children were not reading the packages, and so they actually grabbed all the masks. And the family apologized profusely and brought the masks back and put them down. But the problem with that is now I've got to rewash them because they had opened the packages. Now I have to rewash the masks, re-iron them, you know, repackage them. So that's what I do. After you've created your masks, you've got to wash them, and then you got to wash your hands. I wear a mask when I'm at the end of the process. I cleared my entire counter space. I guess I should show you my counter space. So I clear my entire well, ignore the dog food. Let's put the dog food away. There you go. So here's my counter space, this whole island. And so I clear the counter space of everything. I disinfect it, wipe it all down, and except for the masks that are going to be prepared. Now, what do I do with the masks? As I finish the masks, they go in these bin here. I've been using a lot of these Sterilite bins. So these are the completed masks for this order. And well, all of the orders go in here. And as you see, these are a different family that I'm doing here. And they're all just sitting kind of on top. These are almost ready for wrapping. So essentially, I will clean up the whole table of everything except for the container. And then I have another container. I don't have it on here. I've already put it in my car. And I have an empty container that I've washed with hot water and soap. And I'll leave that open on the counter. Then I've got this container. So I take all of the masks that are in this container on top of the container, whatever, right? And then I put them in a pillowcase, and I put them in the washing machine on a hot wash, delicate cycle. And then once that's finished, I put them in the dryer on the hottest setting. And they're in the pillowcase. Now when they come out of the pillowcase, they're all crunched up and just awful. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about that because you're going to steam iron them. Then I put my iron on steam. I've already sanitized, I will have already sanitized the iron, changing out the pad as well. And then I iron them all, each and every, my hands are washed. I iron them all, and then I put them in the clean container so that I can get ready to put them in paper. So then I put them, wrap them in paper, tape them up, put the names on it, and out they go. But then there's some that don't ever leave the plastic container. Those ones go in my car. And why do they go in my car? Because those are going to get sent to the community. These are hair bands for ear. There were going to be hair bands for ear. So they're a tangent, sorry. And then I dropped them off at the community drop-off. Now we had one in Anchorage, which is quite far away. I live in Eagle River, which is probably 25 minutes. I know, why would you say it's quite? I don't like to drive. So I asked today, in fact, if they could have a central drop-off in my town in Eagle River, and they said yes. And I suggested 2 places that they could do it, and they contacted the quilt shops, and the quilt shop, the quilt cache agreed to host the drop-off. Okay, so that's how I do those things. But yeah, 125. So so you saw a little bit of my workspace. Let me get behind the camera again. I will show you how I'm keeping it in order. So this is donated fabric and it's in paper bags, easy to write on. And this is how I do it. So as you see here, Travis donated this, and so all the fabrics are in there from Travis. Deb donated this, all the fabrics in there. These masks have already been sewn. And then I've got the fabrics that the military families have donated from Tiffany and Pete and Cord and Eli. And they all donated old uniforms. Now, if you're going to take donations from the military, you need to ask some specific questions. And the guidance is essentially you want to make sure that they have not gone to any austere locations where any chemicals were sprayed on their uniform, or if there was any burn sites on the location that they were stationed at. So clean, pristine uniforms, nothing treated. And the treatment could have been fire retardant, it could have been insecticide, or any manner of things. So make sure that, because they need to understand that they're donating this to the community at large, and they don't want to, be a hazard. They don't want to cause a hazard, right? So if you're going to sew using any kind of military uniforms, make sure they're clean and chemical free. So that PSA out of the way. Another bag of fabric that came in. Now this lady didn't want masks. She just wanted to donate fabric, so I kept her stuff over here. That's the reason why I have everybody's names on the bags, because it's like, you donated, and I'm going to sew from what you donated. So it's kind of like a memento. These people served their country. They kept their uniforms sentimentally, and now they're serving their country again. Wow, I get emotional. By donating those sentimental items so that the community can stay healthy. So, I'm such a crybaby. So, anyway, I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing that those people do. So, as you know, or maybe you don't know, I am a defense contractor. I work for Leidos, and I love my job. I love the people that I work with, so I sew for them too. And the people I work for are the uniformed personnel. Air Force, Army, U.S. Coast Guard, Navy, Marines, they're all there on that base. And sewing them masks gives me great pride. Like I said, I'm a crybaby, so. So I want to feel useful. I'm the kind of person that wants to feel useful. I was not able to pass MEPS when I was a teenager and trying to join the military. My family has a long history of service to this country. And so this is my way of serving our country. I became a defense contractor in 2013. Prior to that, I was working as software development. And so now I'm a systems administrator. And I can tell you what, it's been the most, I have never felt so proud of my contribution to this country since I started working as a defense contractor. And this is just kind of my way of serving the United States. And if I can sew, which I didn't know how to sew before I started this, if I can sew and help them out, that's great. My flight didn't have any masks, and I did everything that I could to make sure that the people in my flight knew what the resources were on how to get masks. And finally, the flight now has enough masks to go around, and I may even be bringing extra on my next shift. I'm working a minimal manning schedule, so I don't go to work every single week. I go to work on a special rotation. So when I come in, I'm going to have a whole bin of masks for everybody to try out. I hope that I'll have enough for everybody to have even two. So, but I know that they at least have one each, and that's great. I wanted my entire family to have masks, so I sewed. And I'm so sorry if my family's watching this. When I first learned to sew, I could not sew a straight line to save my life. It was really bad. And I would joke with them and say, oh, look, it's a flamingo at the controls. A flamingo is sewing, not me. So let me finish ironing this real quick. So yeah, I did everything the painful way. I would look on YouTube and people would be using sewing jargon, which I didn't know. I didn't know the things like when you're first learning how to crochet or when you're first learning how to knit, there's a jargon, there's a syntax, as we would say in programming, that you need to know in order to understand the instruction, just the basic instruction. So I didn't want to go so slow. I wanted to learn to sew and make a mask that day. And I'm so sniffly, give me a second. I'm such a crybaby. So, in typical Frances fashion, I just said, forget it, I'll figure it out. And so I had gone to the emergency room for a number of reasons, but it all turned out just that I had gas, right? It's always gas. But I had kept, you just toss things in your pocket. I had kept one of the face masks that I had picked up in the emergency room, because every time I go to the emergency room, I put on a face mask. I have an autoimmune disorder, disease. I never like to say the word disease. It just makes me feel awful. I mean, I've already got enough self-consciousness about just being unwell, chronically ill, that just having another label, disease, is anxiety. It causes me anxiety. So it's called mixed connective tissue disease. I always refer to it as disorder. But anyway, my body will attack itself, which is what a lot of autoimmune diseases do. My particular flavor likes to mess with the collagen in my connective tissue. So I get flare-ups, and I feel like my joints have caught fire. And sometimes the connective tissue is white muscle, skeletal muscle. But other times the connective tissue is organ muscle. And yes, muscles and connective tissues are two different things, but it's the tissue that connects the muscles to one another so that they can push and pull and do the thing. Well, not push, all muscles pull. But that's a whole nother thing. If you take anatomy and physiology, you know what I'm talking about. So nonetheless, it's a painful condition and it can exhibit all kinds of very strange symptoms. And one of the things was that I went to the emergency room because I ate too much spaghetti. I love Italian food, and I had suggested at work that we have an Italian potluck, and everybody brought amazing food. And I was wanting to try all of it, and honey, I did. Oh boy, did I tried it all. And my cat's being playful. She's 16, so that's a big deal. In fact, I got a whole nother story to tell you about her. Anyway, I went to the emergency room because I ate too much spaghetti. And it wasn't just spaghetti, it was Italian food. I ate, and then immediately I had a problem. I immediately knew something was wrong. I think within 10 minutes of eating, I felt a great deal of abdominal pressure and pain. And it was just pain unlike I had ever experienced. The way I explained it was that I felt like my stomach was being put in a vise and pressed and pressed and pressed and pressed. And I felt like every time I breathed in air, I felt like the air was being trapped and not coming back out of my body. So it was really strange. And when I mean trapped, so if you've ever had a laparoscopic surgery, you know that your body is filled with carbon dioxide gas so that the instruments, or so that the cameras and stuff can be, can show in your body. So if you recall that pain, if you remember the pain of that gas being in there, they tell you, oh, you need to stay laying down until the gas dissipates, because if you get that gas trapped up here or it gets trapped up in your organs, it's gonna really, really hurt. Well, honey, that is just exactly what I felt like. It felt like that plus a vice on my actual stomach underneath my ribs. Very painful. One day went by. I didn't go to work the next day. The next day, goes, I am in agony. I am in just absolute agony. It was the worst. The worst, the worst, the worst. And finally, on the third day, I had not used the bathroom. I was only taking sips of water. I had not gotten hungry, and I'm not a thin person. I like to eat. I had not gotten hungry in 3 days. I had been drinking, but in sips. So in 3 days, I maybe had a liter of water, which is bad. And so finally, I just said, okay, I'm going to go see my doctor. I went to urgent care, which my doctor's, my regular primary care physician or GP, general physician, is an urgent care doctor. So I went to his office, the closest to my house, which is an urgent care. And he saw me, and actually his physician's assistant saw me, and they did the blood work and this, that, and the other. And my white blood cells came out double, which is bad. And so she sent me to the emergency room. So that's how I ended up getting my mask. Whew. Big circle, huge tangent, sorry. But that's how I got my mask. The next day, okay, I stayed there 6 hours. They came back and they said, your blood levels are normal now. You should be fine. Here, take some Pepsid. No, I'm not kidding. They gave me a prescription for Pepsid, which is in the US is an over-the-counter medication, but you can get a prescription for it still at a higher dosage. But I ended up just getting the over-the-counter stuff because I didn't want to deal with any kind of pharmacy. Again, in the US, pharmacies are something that has to interact with our insurance company, and it can take a while before prescriptions get approved. So I just went ahead and ordered, I just went to Walgreens and I went to the pharmacy and just got what I needed. And I took it and I felt better, and it took a few days for my stomach to stop cramping and being in pain, and boy, my BMs were a mess because you don't even want to know. And yes, that's why I was in the emergency room. That's the reason why I had gotten a mask. And from that mask, I was able to come up with this first style of mask. And this is about a third larger than the mask that you would get, the mass-produced medical grade masks. It's about a third larger, so if you can imagine it being only this big. I have no idea why I decided to make it so big. I mean, it's going from one cheekbone to the other cheekbone. I have no idea why I wanted to make it that big. The ones that I currently make are not that big. They're about 1.5 inches. I have no idea how many centimeters that is. Sorry, guys. But yeah, like 1.5 inches. I don't have my centimeter ruler on the table right now. Larger than the ones that I'm making now. And it has no nose bridge in it. Oh, no, it does. It has a wire. This is the bottom. So yeah, it has straps on it. It has 3 pleats, and it opens up, covers the nose. It goes under the chin. And that's how you, over the nose and under the chin, that's how you want your mask to fit. So this is a 9x8 square. And so like I said, I had cut it back by about a 1.5 inch. So I cut these to about 7.5 inches. And I make that square. So instead of 9x8, I'm doing 7.5 by 7.5. Now there is a smaller. This one is smaller. Nope, these are the same. These ones are the same too. Here you go. Here's a larger one. So I call this the adult male. And so this one is the 8x8. So this is the 7.5 by 7. And this is the 8x8. So I call this the larger one. So when I give these to males with larger faces, or if the females have larger faces, I just ask, do you feel like your face from cheekbone to cheekbone is going to be 8 inches, or do you think it's going to be 7 inches? And that's how we're doing it. Get a piece of paper, put it against your face. That's 8.5 inches. That's what I'll say, 8.5, 7.5. So put a piece of paper up. If the papers touch here, that's it. If it doesn't, this is what you need. And that's how we're measuring the masks. I'm probably all over this view screen. Let me let my dog out real quick. Sweet. Go, go, go. So that is what I've been up to. I have been sewing every single day for 34 days. I have loved every minute of it, and I can't wait to get back to it after I finish this vlog. I will try and be a little more active on YouTube. I've been watching a lot of YouTube just like everyone else. And I just let my Maxie out. I'll give you quick updates on my babies. My cat, Sassy passed away in 2015. I don't know why I keep thinking of her. But I guess because BB is coming to the end of her life, and I'm thinking that it's going to be really sad. If she is to be put down during this time, she will be on her own, and that's not how I want to do things. But essentially we will have to drop her off, and they will have to comfort her, and then they will have to put her down, and that would just break my heart. But she's 16 years old, and she's exhibiting all the signs of being an old cat. And she has cancer, and the cancer grows very, very slowly. The vet said there's just no point putting her through cancer treatment because it can be really, really, as you know with people, it can be really bad on animals just as well. So with a few, with a few months that we have left with her, we're keeping her comfortable. She takes pain medication. She takes lots of supplements to help also with her pain. And the pain that she has is not from the cancer, it's from her arthritis. She has arthritis as well. But as far as we know, she's doing really well for a cancer patient that's not really undergoing any treatment. She is not crying out in pain or anything like that, but what she will do is vomit sometimes. And so kind of keeping her appetite up and her thyroid, under control. That's about all that's going on with her. We're going back on Tuesday. She's just had some blood work done. I get blood work done every few months, like every 3 months. She gets blood work done and just kind of see where she's at, because we want to make sure that she's having a quality life. And when it's time to put her down, when she's not, experiencing a great deal of discomfort and agony. So that said, we have a 6-month-old puppy who has finally potty trained, and he lets me know when he needs to go out, and he lets me know when he needs to come in. And let me tell you guys, I did not potty train this dog. I tried to potty train this dog in every which way I can think of. And one day it just clicked for him. If I go over to the door and bark or make noise, Mom opens the door. He trained me, you guys. I tried so many things to get him to figure out, and puppy pads didn't work with him. He didn't even pee on puppy pads. He didn't like it. He'd rather just pee on the floor. And then he would just, I don't even know. He just figured it out one day, and we've been happy about it. So I can give you no puppy training tips as far as potty training goes. But he's potty trained, and he goes out there, he does his business, he comes back to the door, he gives a little yip like he just did a second ago, and waits patiently for me to reopen the door. He's great. He really is great, you guys. I'd like to spend some more time talking to you about him. However, I know this video has gone on a long time, and I apologize for that. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you feel you must. If not, just catch you in the next video. Take care, you guys. Bye.